A wooden ship. A fire at sea.
Up you go.
And two young children are cast adrift. Fortune washes them ashore on a fertile isle. But fate deserts them, and they are left utterly alone. The years passed, but no ship ever did. Yet the boy and the girl grew strong and tall and beautiful, raising themselves on instinct and the bounty of their lost paradise. But this was no Eden.
Richard! Em, where are you?
There were mysteries at work here, disturbing and compelling. The one mystery lay on the forbidden side of the island. Dark, sinister, killing. The other mystery was hidden deeper still.
What are you doing, Richard?
Within this girl, now woman, this boy, now man, the mystery of desire. She sees that his shoulders are wide. She senses there is one secret here she doesn't know.
What are you looking at?
Your muscles.
And something inside her stirs.
Feels so funny in my stomach.
Me too.
My heart's beating so fast.
Mine too.
We're back, ladies and gentlemen.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, everybody.
2020.
Did you like that voiceover?
Oh, man.
That was me. I was in the booth.
Yeah,
Ago.
that was him.
But I am Pete.
And I'm Scott. And these are the movies that made us gay.
New for 2020.
I can't believe it. It's been 2019 is gone. Well, new year, new movies on movies that made us gay.
Indeed, indeed.
We watched
Another doozy.
a really important movie to my young gay self.
Oh, this movie turned me into a homosexual.
This movie turned me gay.
For sure.
We watched The Blue Lagoon from 1980, directed by Randall Kleiser,
Yes,
with
indeed.
our friend Braden Davis.
Hi, guys. Welcome to the show.
Hi, guys. Thanks for
Hey,
having
Braden,
me.
you got a good one.
I know.
Listen, I saved it for the podcast, and I have a lot to say.
Yeah,
I'm glad,
you came in
'cause
super
there's
hot
so
to the
much to
apartment.
say.
You wanted to talk about it immediately.
Well,
So we just had to get this show rolling.
Yeah.
well, I mean, look at this album. Oh, God.
So I have the Blue Lagoon score on vinyl, which
Yes.
is a gorgeous score. That's the thing, is that this movie is really well made.
and beautiful.
Yeah.
And I happen to own this. I happen to own the score
Yeah,
on
staring,
vinyl.
I'm staring at the vinyl, and it's
Yeah.
a beautiful portrait of our stars, pretty much naked in loincloths holding each other.
Yes, indeed.
It's so beautiful.
Their
though.
tan teenage
Jesus
bodies.
Christ. I wanted to know if that was spray tan or real.
We were
You know
talking
what I
about
mean?
that last night, too.
I was like, there's no way.
Yeah.
So we looked it
Perfect.
up. I think that she had to get spray tanned every day.
Makes sense.
We were looking up vintage interviews with them doing press, and Brooke mentioned that on a talk show.
Yes.
Jesus. Yes, she looked perfect in
Yeah,
this
she
film.
said it was like a lotion that they were putting
Yeah.
on her. It was 1980, probably 1979 when they shot it.
And how old was she?
So
She was
Like
like-
14
she was
or 15.
It was controversial.
Yes,
Very
so
controversial.
controversial. This movie could never get made
Could you
today.
imagine
No.
your parents watching you do any
Oh,
of
my
these
God.
scenes
well, I know
at
that Brooke
14?
Shields notoriously has kind of a crazy mom too.
Her mom's
Okay,
a little
word.
kooky.
Her mom's a little kooky.
She likes that.
I love
Likes her daughter working
Brooke
on
Shields
movies.
too.
Yeah. She's
like I
great.
love her. I remember watching Suddenly Susan when I was a kid,
Ugh.
and then sort of discovering the Calvin Klein ads.
Yes,
and yeah,
indeed.
Some of the
And-
sexiest ever.
Yes.
And then I remember a few years ago, she was at the Geffen doing The Exorcist, and I way overpaid.
God, we saw that.
I way overpaid tickets for like the third row just to see it.
It was good. She was really good.
Yeah,
She was
was
the
great in
mom.
it.
Oh man.
Yeah,
I
she was
thought-
the Ellen Burstyn role.
Yeah.
on stage.
Yes.
Did they do all the crazy stuff?
There was like full on magic. Like this chick was levitating, like it was nuts. It was like magician, like Vegas magician style stuff.
It was
getting this girl off the bed. It was
Brooke
crazy.
Shields and Richard Chamberlain.
Yeah.
Shit,
Yeah.
that's a good cast.
Yeah, so nuts. Okay. But Brooke Shields, let's get a little bit of backstory. She was a teen model, you know.
Like a huge teen model.
Let's just talk about
Of the
her
70s,
brows,
yeah.
Oh my
you
goodness,
guys.
the brows.
Her brows became a sensation. A
Oh,
lot of girls
yes.
try to model their brows after Brooke Shields.
Yes, that started at like
It's
craze.
like Brooke Shields and Jen Connolly kind of like
yes.
pioneered
Yeah.
the strong brow.
Oh my god! And you look
It made
at
it
her.
mainstream.
She just has like this porcelain doll face.
Oh, my goodness.
That's spray
Yeah.
tanned
Yeah.
for the fucking gods. Can you curse on this?
Oh
Of
yes,
course.
Okay, good.
yes indeed. We're explicit.
Okay, perfect. I'll leave that fisting part for later.
Hello. So, well, let's do a little bit of. Hello. Sorry about that. Let's do a little bit of background information about the show, or about the movie, and our own personal introductions to it. I know, being the eldest senior grand dame in the room, I remember
stateswoman of the podcast.
stateswoman of movies that made us gay. I was a small. Oh goodness
You should
gracious!
silence
I
that.
did. I was a small child when this movie came out. I was a little kid. I remember didn't see it in the theater. I don't think my parents would have taken me to the theater to see this, but I do remember seeing it on cable. Cable was a brand new frontier in 1980, 1981, and this movie was shown on cable, and I remember watching it, like it being on television, like with the family, and being like 6 or 7 years old, just being like, that is a wiener.
Your entire family would gather and watch this film?
Yeah, I don't know if it was just a one-time
You just
thing,
have a
but
memory
I
of
have
watching this
is
with
burned
other
into
people in
my
your family.
brain. Yeah, going, I don't know if this is right, but this is happening. It's on screen. But again, this is a time, Carrie had just come out a few years prior to this, right? What year was Carrie?
78?
Full
77, I think.
Bush in Carrie.
Yeah.
in the
Oh,
first
yeah.
scene of the movie,
Oh, that whole locker room scene.
Yes, I feel like nudity on screen was a different animal than it is now. I think it was still very out of the box and still kind of controversial for the time,
Especially for male nudity.
Yes, exactly. And I mean, watching it then and watching it now, it's like your eye goes right
Straight to
there.
the wiener.
Straight to it.
Literally,
every
when
time.
he aged, I was like, wait, that's not a little boy wiener
No,
anymore.
yeah. And the thing is, I guess we'll get there, but with Christopher Atkins, who plays Richard, you can tell that is him in the
Yeah.
shots when they're swimming, when they're under the water, swimming, all
You get
those
super
shots.
familiar with this body through the
That-
entirety of this movie.
Yeah, that is fully him. With Brooke Shields, there's a lot of fancy cutting and
The whole nursing
body
scene.
doubles and all of that. But with him, it's like, nope, he is on display. I think he was 18 at the time, so he was just like, woo.
And it was his
let hang
first
out.
movie. He
Yeah.
hadn't really worked before this.
Crazy.
Oh, he's just excited,
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
he committed.
Yeah, so I have memories of being a small child and seeing this on cable as a kid and having other people in the room and just being like, this is insane to me. And just memories. And the specific memory I have is them going down the little water slide where she's behind him and he's in the front and he's fully butt ass naked. And it's right in your face. That one stayed with me for a while.
Or him on the side of that rock just jerking it.
Oh my! Oh yes.
And
Also,
she's like,
that.
I know what you're doing.
I see what you do. You do it for a long time. Yeah. So that's my kind of intro to this movie.
So
as
mine's
the
pretty
Grand Dame.
similar. I was probably around 12,
Mm-hmm.
probably when I first saw it on TV. But same. I remember being blown away and just being like, wow, this is insane.
This is a legitimate movie.
The one scene that was really burned into my memory as a kid is when Brooke Shields hits him with the coconut
Oh yeah.
and he drops.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, it was definitely one of those movies that you just hope that an adult didn't walk in as you were watching. And it was just on display in the middle of the day on basic cable. I don't even remember what channel it was, too.
Well, then you probably got an edited version. Not a lot of wiener.
Possibly.
That'd be crazy.
Or at least they
No,
blurred it
Horrible.
out.
I know. Would it just be
probably.
like a 12-minute movie, just like a short film by Randall Kleiser?
Randall Kleiser, what about that? The director of Grease.
That's
Randall Kleiser's
I mean-
filmography is pretty insane. So he
It's
did
pretty weird.
Flight of the Navigator, Grease, Honey, I Blew Up the Kids.
Classic.
So just sort of worked the rounds in the 80s, doing all sorts of movies.
Yeah.
That versatility, though.
yes, indeed. So what about you, Braden? When was the first time you saw this? Last night?
Well, the first time I remember seeing the images of him
Right.
in that loincloth and
Yes.
being like, oh, this is one of those movies my grandparents watched. And then being like, what is this film? And then one night it was on in Cinemax,
Sure.
I think on like HBO.
It strikes me as a Cinemax type of
Yeah.
movie.
And I remember watching it and being like, little segments of it. I would fast forward,
Yeah.
obviously, to all of the sex scenes.
Yes, indeed.
But just remember being like, wow, it was so sensual. And like the lightest porn without being porn.
Yes.
Yes.
But for Columbia Pictures, porn?
You could
Like,
you
who
could tell
greenlit that?
You could tell that they were trying to be very, very tasteful with all of
Oh,
these
yeah.
love scenes.
They're scared, but they were making risks, but they
Yes.
were like still a little conservative. They weren't ready to go fully
Right.
with certain things.
right.
But yeah, no, that was my first image, was just seeing it and like, you know, late night specials and fast forwarding through all of the naughty parts. And rewatching the full thing, let me tell you.
Oh man, yeah, it's
The
something.
whole
It's something to behold from start to finish.
But I'll also say that it's a little cheesy, but I will say very, very watchable.
Oh, totally.
Like,
Yeah.
it goes down real easy. It's very entertaining.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, and it's beautifully shot. I
Oh,
mean,
yeah.
this is the cinematographer Nestor Almendros.
Sure.
He shot Days of Heaven. And Days of Heaven is known as one of the most beautiful movies ever made.
Right.
And he was Oscar nominated for this movie.
I love
He
that.
lost to Tess. Roman Polanski's Tess.
Oh, I was going to say I don't
Yeah.
even know what Tess is.
So yeah, so
Interesting.
it was Oscar nominated for how technically beautiful it was.
Right.
I mean, think of those shots.
Yeah, I mean,
So
the whole
hard.
time you're just watching it, you're like, where is that? And I was wondering if it was just a bunch of places that they kind of stitched
Was shot in
together.
Fiji.
Fiji, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know if this movie just really solidified like my kind of taste for like a shaggy blonde, like like this mop of hair. And I have to say, it has to be a perm because in every other project he's ever
he's
done,
had straight hair.
his hair's straight.
Probably because the kid actor had a perm. And I
Yeah.
thought about that. I was
Possibly.
like, casting was probably like, well, we'll just put a wig on him.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah.
Or we'll give him a perm.
Yeah, we'll just perm it out.
Either way, let me tell you, it all makes sense though today when I was watching this. I was like, this is where kind of my fetish of like that surfer
Yes.
blonde,
That
like
tan, yeah.
that's where that comes from.
that
is this
like
movie
lifeguard
literally.
body. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what he reminded
Oh.
me of? He
Fuck.
reminded me of a Bellamy porn star.
Yes, which are my favorite.
Easy.
He's like
Totally.
dumb as rocks, European guys.
Eastern European. Hello. Yeah. I'm here to serve cock.
having sex in like a big like bed of grass or something.
Yeah. Like a barn somewhere. But a weird Eastern European barn. not
Always
like-
a barn.
Not an American barn. I like a silo. Yeah, he definitely is a type. I mean, when you
I
see
mean,
it.
this is also like a fresh off the bus kid that comes to LA that ends up dancing at like Fubar.
Like, I want to
Too.
be in pictures.
Yeah.
I got the foo bar vibe. I got the
He'll
foo
be
bar
like
vibe
he'll be
for
twerking
sure.
on that brick wall.
Oh yeah,
in
he
no time.
he was missing that jockstrap haney. He was 2 seconds away from being up there with Real Trick.
He's just like, I'm giving myself a year, and if I don't make it into the movie industry, and then by like 3 months later, he's just like, sure, I can dance for
But
you.
look at that. He's literally a sex icon now.
Oh my god,
Yeah,
forever.
And Christopher Atkins says that gay men come up to him all the time and say how much this movie meant to them.
It's an
Like,
awakening.
It's like
Sure.
a sexual awakening for young gay men.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
yeah.
he's very proud about it.
That's
Good.
And also, I mean, he kind of made a whole brief career of playing the dumb, stupid hottie.
Oh,
'Cause
yeah.
he was in a night in heaven with Leslie Ann Warren, where he plays a stripper going through putting himself through college.
I love it.
And then
I love
he
her.
has a
Yeah,
little
she's great.
arc on Dallas as a sexy swimming instructor
Oh, see, I
that
said
one of them
lifeguard.
has an affair with.
Wow, he capitalized on it.
Yeah, he did.
Mhm.
I mean, Brooke did too. They both but Brooke kind of went the sitcom route, and
Sure.
But
I mean, she like I was saying, she kind of had an established career. She was like the big star.
I mean, she was already like partying at 54 by this time.
Yeah.
too.
At 14, she's just like. There's that interview that we watched of her on YouTube, and it's her on the Merv Griffin show. And it's after this movie came out, and she's 15 years old, and he's like, what did you do with your summer, besides, promoting Blue Lagoon? She's like, well, I went to Europe, and I did, what did she say?
She said that she did a Yves Saint Laurent show.
Yeah, but the way she said it, she said, like, I did all the, she did all the fashion shows, but she just said it so nonchalantly. Like,
Yeah, like,
I worked all the shows, and you're like,
I just
worked all
walked
the
in like a
shows?
Saint Laurent show. No big
Yeah.
deal.
that's like literally any of the Super Five, like any of them.
Like, you don't really think of Brooke Shields as like a high fashion runway model, but she fully was in
She
the
was
late 70s,
huge.
early 80s.
Her trends, especially the white top
Yes.
with the jeans.
Blue- yeah.
That Calvin
sure.
Klein was definitely her.
She pioneered wearing red on the red carpet.
Oh yeah,
That really wasn't done before Brooke Shields.
Oh my god, I'm triggered by her period scene.
Oh my goodness. I mean, well, yeah, we'll get there, but that scene is insane.
We'll get there. Red Brooke Shields.
Yes.
So should we talk briefly? We don't have to spend too much time on it, but kind of the 20-minute prologue of this movie.
I was gonna say, like, anyone who came for like the booty, just literally skip 30 minutes. It's exactly 30 minutes. I timed it. I looked at the thing and I was like, okay, he's an adult.
There
30
we
minutes
are.
in. So just FYI for anyone listening.
Yeah. I mean, it starts off. Okay, the thing is, and I feel like I don't know if people are super aware of it, and I was kind of questioning it at the beginning. I was like, they're not brother and sister, right? They're not,
that
right?
too.
They're cousins.
But they made it a point for
Yep.
her to refer to Mr. Feeney as like Uncle whatever.
Mr. Feeney from Boy Meets
Yeah,
World.
and and he was like, Dad, and she was like, Uncle, Feeney or whatever. So I think they kind of made it a point right there. But yeah, there's this fire breaks out in this ship, and within seconds, it's like, all right, everybody get the fuck off. Like, we are abandoning this bitch. She is drowning. But I mean,
Mr. First AD was like, we don't have that much fog and smog for this, so we have to do this in a twofer.
We've got one smoke bomb. We need to make it count.
Yeah,
Mr.
it was
Button.
very quick with the plot, and also in the ending, the whole thing, it was like beginning, end, the same.
Yes.
Nothing really
Yeah.
happens. They just got rescued.
Yeah, it's
There
just
was
a
nothing
device
there were 3 parts to it.
Yeah.
The
We
whole
need-
point of this movie was them.
on the beach.
Oh,
And I
yeah.
mean, that's
That's why people literally, I mean, the way they even tailored that trailer, it's like, sex.
Yes.
Do you want to watch this film in the theater?
Eventually, they're going
Sex.
to have sex.
Oh, yeah.
Do you know what kind of remind me of? Do you remember on Arrested Development when what's the name of the art house film that George Michael wants to go see?
With maybe.
With
it's,
maybe.
Dangerous Cousins.
Los Cousins Dangerous, and they sneak into the theater. Yeah,
It's very that.
Oh, yeah.
Even the poster for Dangerous Cousins. But yeah, we're set up that they're. Well, okay. The movie starts out, and it's Cheers.
yeah.
It's
We were humming the Cheers theme in the opening credits
It's
of this
with-
movie.
Are those like those like paintings that are
Oh,
like
the map
Cheers
thing?
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's like
It's like
are they
something you'd
paintings?
see
Are they
in, like, a
wood
newspaper.
cuttings? Yeah, I
I
don't
don't
know.
know.
Yeah, it was weird. It felt like the beginning to Pocahontas.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it established, but it also establishes Boston,
True.
and then
But they're going to San
they're
Francisco.
sailing to San Francisco from Boston. They deserve
Fiji
to
is
crash.
where?
Yeah. So, for whatever reason, they're on this ship, and I guess it's not really made clear that they're in the Pacific.
fire? Yeah.
But with all the crazy wildlife, maybe we're just not supposed to question it.
Okay.
It could be the Caribbean.
What if our island was open that weekend?
Yeah, yeah.
I took it that they were sailing from England to San Francisco.
Yes.
And that's a really long route that goes through the Bahamas.
Yeah,
That makes sense.
And down below South America.
Yeah.
Because there's no Panama Canal
Mhm.
in these like old timey times.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
But I love how they were like, we don't like this island. We're going to this island.
Yeah, I was like, is it the same
Was it the
island?
same
Is it
island?
different,
Or the same
different
cluster?
Side? Yeah, I mean, is it an archipelago? I don't know.
She literally got in her Sunday dress and said, I don't like this island. Take
we
me
are
away.
moving. Yeah. Okay, but we do have to establish Mr. Button.
I really love this character.
Patty Button, the grizzled, like, cook.
Oh.
Who...
Leo, played by Leo McKern.
He's got, like, this crazy pirate voice.
He has some badass sailor tattoos, too.
He has some sweet
when you actually
sailor
look at all of his
tattoos.
ink on his chest.
Yeah.
I mean, chest, the titty dance.
Oh my
Yeah.
goodness
So
gracious.
good.
But it starts off with like they get into his stash of like Victorian like
Old-timey nudies.
titty pictures, you know, from like the silent film era, and he's just spanks them both. Not his children. He's just like, I don't care. That's my stuff. Gives them both a whooping.
I mean, that's what you probably did in like the late 1800s.
Sure.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, people got my grandfather got whipped by FDR on 2 non-consecutive occasions. But okay, so we need to establish that he's going to be with the kids because he becomes their like de facto caretaker, even though should not be taking care of children. But you know, he's in the middle of giving them a whooping while this fire starts and like the ship disintegrates.
Whisks them off on a lifeboat.
Yeah.
It's pretty much like fuck off to everyone else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He took that lifeboat that could fully have housed like 4 to 10 more people.
Maybe he was just afraid that they would swamp the boat and sink him.
Sure.
Yeah, 0 fucks were given.
No.
He was like, no, we're
Yeah.
doing this.
We're
Bye.
leaving. Yeah. Bye. They get in this thing. They also just happen to get like a chest of drawers.
Oh, so lucky.
Yeah. Just what are the
Yeah,
odds?
they got like a whole dress-up
yeah.
trunk.
Yeah, they got
To
a
go
whole
with 'em.
yeah, costumes and like tchotchkes and props. And they get lost in the fog of the smoke from the fire. This is crazy though. Like, I mean, I guess the ocean is like a wild.
I mean, this
untamed
would have had to
beast,
happen fairly regularly back in the olden days.
but for ships to just crash.
Yeah.
I guess. I mean, fire is pretty gnarly on a ship, and I don't know. But they get separated from the rest of the boats, and Mr. Feeney, the dad / uncle, is on a different lifeboat, and we end up on this paradise island that has no hurricanes and or mosquitoes to be found. It is like literally heaven.
Has
Maybe
fresh
they
water.
died, and this is like their
Yeah, it literally is heaven. It's so, and then minus the drumming.
Oh yes, the human sacrifice.
That came out of
Yeah.
wow, like way left field.
Yes, and is it paid off?
No,
Probably. I don't think so.
they didn't. They
Not
definitely,
really.
certainly never returned to it.
No. Yeah. I mean, the whole time it's so like ominous in the distance, and like he starts fashioning like weapons at one point, and you're just like, oh, okay. Well, that's not.
Well, they
cool.
could have gone that route of like,
Yeah.
this is going to be an exciting
I'm
adventure.
curious
movie.
if
Yeah.
the book
Oh yeah,
addressed that, because we should also mention that these were 3 books written by this last name, Henry D. Verne Stackpool, and these books
Sure.
were written in like 1903, and this is the 3rd adaptation of this material. There was one in the silent era that was done, and then there was one done in the 40s, which was a huge hit. So this book had already been done as a movie.
But I'm
before.
sure, like the Blue Lagoon from the 40s, they're probably played by 2 like 45-year-old
Yes.
adults, like the entire time. Like we're just children frolicking on the beach, fully clothed, like the man's in a tuxedo the entire time. Oops.
So, I guess the books were a little more concerned with the culture of the South Seas and the influence of European cultures too. So, it
Not
probably
interested.
It probably didn't have a lot of TNA in it.
No.
boring.
Yeah, that's what we want to see. Because, again, like what you were saying about the first 30 minutes being kind of disposable, the next few scenes of the movie are Mr. Button kind of giving his, like, old sea dog, skills to young Richard. And teaching him how to tie knots and teaching them, how to use the plants around them to, like, weave things, and because they have to build this like 3-story condo.
Yep, they have to build their tiki mansion later.
Yeah.
He's basically the exposition.
Yes. Yeah, for sure. He's definitely exposition.
Oh, for sure.
Oh, they also not only do they find the trunk with all the clothes in it, but also washed up on the beach is a never-ending barrel of rum.
Yeah.
It does end though. And it's right before Mr. Button passes on.
Which is just terrifying.
Yes. Especially being witnessed by like these children.
Because that was
scarred
obviously
for
a
life.
practical.
Yeah.
That was a crab coming out of the
his
mouth,
face.
right?
Yeah.
That was disgusting.
That looked nuts.
Yeah.
And it's very up in the air what exactly happened to him. Did he have a heart attack? Did he
I
just
thought
like...
he
Did he
got too
slip?
drunk 'cause
Yeah, he was
by
super
the
drunk.
barrel.
Yeah.
And then he OD'd.
He was-
he drank himself to death.
Yeah,
That's what it seemed.
it was either alcohol poisoning or he just had a bad ticker because he was an old fat guy.
Oh, yeah.
Or maybe he just like slipped and hit his head. You know, it's a beach.
Maybe the
wet
natives
rocks.
killed him.
I don't think they
But
would
we
have
don't
left
know,
his
though.
I
body
didn't even think
there.
about
This
that.
is true. Yep.
But the crazy thing, we're watching it and like, okay, he's dead, and you're like, okay, the kids are going over there, and they're like, there's Mr. Button, we see him, and then they see him, and baby Brooke Shields is like, peace out, fuck this place, I want to go to another side of the island, and they leave, and I'm like, thinking, well, what the fuck are they going to do? This is like a 300-pound man. Are they just going to leave him there? Oh, yes, bitch. They leave him there.
Yeah, they're a little. They're a little crazy.
Yeah. They don't even sprinkle some dirt on him.
Zero
They're just like,
fucks.
peace out. You dead.
Nobody cares about
Yeah.
anybody in this movie, really.
Yeah,
honestly.
she puts on. She literally, like you said, she puts on her Sunday best. They get in this boat, and this child rows them either to another part of the island, a different island.
That was
It's hard to say.
You know, for a fact, location-wise, it was
Yeah.
the opposite side of the island because there was no way in hell they were going to another island.
right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because
for sure.
also Mr. Button does say to stay away from the opposite side of the island where the
savages are.
or like that big shrine.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, which
I
was
took it that that the natives were on the island that were right across from them.
I mean, I thought it was just kind of a big island, and the natives were on one side and they were on the other.
Yeah.
And it was just like, don't go over there, because Brooke Shields eventually makes her way to the altar and hangs out there.
I think it was their attempt to have like a threat in the movie,
Right.
you
Yeah.
know,
Some
to
kind
make
of
it be like,
stakes,
ooh,
yeah.
adventure. But
Yeah.
they never really.
I think it's a bigger plot point in the book that they just cut.
Yeah, that makes
Yeah.
sense. In the film, it was definitely. I want to know how much they transformed after they saw the first footage, because clearly they were
Right.
like, "Oh, these two."
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Those old producers, like
Yeah.
sweaty, like, "Oh yeah,
Let's get some more of them.
fuck these two."
So, but when we're still kids and Mr. Button is still alive, they first get to the island. They kind of find a freshwater pool with the waterfall,
Which is
and then-
like, I mean, it pretty much saves their lives.
Yes.
Because whenever you're on a strand or desert island, you can always figure out food, but water is the most important thing
Yeah.
that you need.
and
everyone knows that.
They're just like frolicking, having a good time, and
Literally, just like nothing ever happened.
yeah, oh yeah, the kids totally forgot. They're not traumatized, and little Richard. Woo! Little Richard fully finds a skull. And I mean, I get that this was a different time. We're not really sure what time it was because we're not good at reading like cues of like.
I
their
would
clothes.
say late 1800s, early 1900s.
Yes, definitely.
Well,
around
I
that
feel
time.
like it's a very like Main Street USA
Yes.
kind of like so turn of the century, maybe like Lady and the Tramp times. Does that make sense?
yeah, no, definitely.
Based on that crazy Viewmaster that they have, that
Yeah.
they're looking at all those pictures of like Victorian people. At any rate, what my point was, he's just like, look at this funny rock with the holes in it.
It's like, kid, you
Really?
know that's a skull.
These kids look to be like 8 years old.
Well, that's when he was still alive, right? The other guy.
Yeah.
When they were sliding down.
Yeah, Mr. Button's still alive. He like grabs a skull. He's like, "Don't touch it," whatever. But the kid's like, "Oh, what is this
But
crazy
how
rock?"
did he? And he also was like, "This is a threat." Immediately, it was like someone might have just died on that
True,
island.
yeah.
What- you
But
know.
yeah, immediately he's like, "Oh fuck no, they're well." He's like I said, he's an old sea dog. He's
That's
an
true.
old salt. Like maybe he knew kind of where they were, and he's like, these islands out here have got some like crazy, like headhunters, or
And
whatever.
hopefully it's not like the island that Captain Cook sailed to where they like knocked him on the head and ate him.
I mean, there was some shit
But
on
that
the
would have
altar.
been, you guys. That would have been so much better. This movie could have been so much better.
There would have been a little bit more.
Because I thought they could have derailed and gone somewhere with that. I thought they were building that up, and then all of a sudden they were like, "Nope, we're rescued."
It seemed like it was going to build to some sort of climax with the natives, but that was a loose end. We'll call it a loose end. But yeah, Mr. Button just kind of bites the dust, leaves the kids, to fend for themselves and swim naked in the ocean.
And they have the basic knowledge to stay alive that they got from him too.
Yes. Well, this island is like lousy with fish and bananas and like tropical fruits. It is like a smorgasbord of like abundance.
Yeah, they got it pretty quickly.
Yeah.
I mean, they already have like a Palm Springs-esque pool right in the center of it.
Yes, they've got that weird like lava rock like enclosure. That's
in the water.
Yeah.
The color.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, it was
Yeah.
stunning.
This is a very like Gilligan's Island island.
Oh yeah. I just kept on thinking about their sunburns. You know what I mean? Like the
Yeah.
crew.
These
Oh
like
yeah.
these like
Like the
pale,
real life sunburn,
These like
yeah.
pale children and teenagers out in the sun.
Oh
Yeah.
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 Just like the second AD just like totally has sunstroke.
Oh my god. Yeah,
Oh, God.
I would imagine Christopher Atkins, after so many weeks working on this movie, they just didn't need to apply the fake tanner
No.
anymore. They were just like,
no.
all right, you're good.
Especially
He's
with
a-
blondes.
you
Like,
match. Yeah.
He's a boy of the island now.
Yeah.
God, and may he forever be.
And he is a natural blonde. You could tell by
Oh yes.
Oh yeah.
very many close-ups on.
Oh yeah.
So
how,
now
how old was he?
He was
18.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay.
So now we get the full reveal of both Chris and Brooke grown into, say, probably 16 or 15.
Sexual
Yeah,
maturity.
would you say
Not
like
that.
less than 10 years have passed?
Yes.
Because like I said, they look to be about 7 or 8. Would you say?
Yeah.
They're kids.
In the beginning, yeah.
Yeah.
And probably
so-
the characters are roughly the same ages as the actors. Chris 18, Brooke 15
Sure.
too.
Yeah. So some time has passed. They're now teenagers, and they're just like I said, they've got a deluxe apartment. Like
This
He's got-
crazy tiki house gets bigger and bigger with each shot.
it's got like a washer dryer, and
It
like,
just it really reminded me of George to the Jungle.
Oh,
the
my
Disney
God.
version. It's like, what is happening?
yes,
Set design went crazy with it.
yeah.
There's like
which
a
I don't
new-
mind Brendan Fraser in a loincloth
Oh,
either.
no.
There's
I
like a
mean,
new addition each time that you get a shot of this house that you haven't noticed from the last time that you saw it.
There's like a deck.
Yeah, they have like a
There's-
sun deck.
Yeah, it's got multiple bedrooms.
Listen, they are very smart children.
They are. I mean, Patty Button, he just really like
He did
taught
his
him-
work.
Yeah, he taught him what for. But yeah, like I said, this island is lousy with fish. There's a scene she's literally sitting in the water grabbing fish out of the ocean with her hands. She's just like, "What? I'm a good fisherman." What the fuck? Is that the way that works? And I mean, I've seen my share of Survivor, Naked and Afraid.
Oh, love.
I did not see one bug bite
Yeah.
on these pristine bodies.
They were too busy getting spray tan.
Yeah, true.
This was definitely one of those movies where you know for a fact producing Columbia Pictures, everyone was like, make it beautiful.
Oh, yes.
Like everything. Top to
Yeah.
bottom.
Mm-hmm.
And
Especially the bottoms.
and especially the bottom.
Wow,
And I think
so
they
like
succeeded.
perfect. Perfectly perky, golden, all the time.
Yeah.
Not sweaty. Like they all looked like models, literally.
Brooke's
Yeah.
luscious hair.
Oh, covered her tits perfectly.
Perfect.
Yeah.
perfectly.
Well, that's the whole thing is that they had to glue her hair to her boobs so they wouldn't she wouldn't flash the camera or anything because she was so young. So they somehow like taped her hair to her breasts.
And on days where she was bad, they just hot glued it.
Yeah.
Come on,
Keep
Brooke.
screaming, bitch. There weren't too many scenes though where she was like topless with the hair. She
Yeah.
wore like these like
Yeah.
flowing like gossamer gowns.
Or from like the Brooke Shields anthropology collection.
Oh, for
some of them
real.
were pretty beautiful.
She looked like an influencer at Coachella.
Totally.
Definitely.
Yeah.
What is
Just
it?
put
The
some
Visco
flowers in her
girl?
hair.
Yeah,
and she's
she was
good to go.
she was a Visco girl. She had like flower crowns.
Visco girl of the island,
Yeah.
Hanny. Oh yeah, she was set up for sure.
Yeah. Meanwhile, he's just strutting around in this crazy loincloth.
In his little Tarzan brief.
Yeah.
But I always loved that whenever he fished, he was fucking naked.
Oh my god.
He was
I
like,
mean,
"This is
yeah.
my time.
Yes.
This is my naked time."
Yeah.
I loved that, and he really had no. He seemed so comfortable on camera, and even looking at those interviews about the movie, he has just like, that foobar, just like kind of like, I'm a kid, I'm 20,
Yeah.
I'm hot, I'm a surfer dude.
Yeah.
It's like what you see is what you get, which is kind of really fucking hot.
Oh, totally.
He's so sexy.
Yeah.
Watching this film today, I was like, Jesus Christ.
There's one shot where he walks out of the ocean like Daniel Craig, James Bond style,
Yeah.
but he is butt ass
Both
naked
and
and
frontal.
full front, just walks right towards the camera, and you're just like, get a load of that, Jesus.
So I was reading, I don't know if it's true, that the director, Randall Kleiser, put a picture of Brooke Shields above Atkins' bed to help arouse feelings for his co-star.
Oh my god.
Because the director kind of wanted them to both have the hots for each other.
Sure.
I
I
mean,
think they
because
boned.
like
Oh my god.
Because
Do you
like
think they boned?
Okay,
they're
no.
young, they're like young and
Do
beautiful.
you know? Do you know that?
Yeah.
Do you know that Brooke Shields, who Brooke Shields claims she lost her virginity to?
Oh, God.
And this will kind of like tell you how long she waited. She said she lost it in college at Princeton. Pretty sure she went to Princeton.
Good for her.
She said she lost it in college at Princeton to Dean Cain.
Oh,
Wow, she got that Dean Cain D.
wow.
I mean, he was good looking, but
Superman.
that's Brooke Shields, man.
Yeah,
I
she's
feel like-
gorgeous.
Now,
Yeah.
wasn't Brooke Shields romantically linked to Michael Jackson, or do they just do like
I
a
think so.
red carpet event with each other?
Yeah.
For a hot second.
I think
did
it was one of
that
those
was a
things
thing.
where he was like, they were like, you need to take some dates to things. And I think he took her to the Grammys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They definitely went to a few events, I
Yeah.
remember. I remember because I was there. No. But I do remember seeing that.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, because I feel like if she had been older, they would have literally paired them for everything.
Oh, for
You know what I
sure.
mean?
Yeah,
They
yeah.
just, their chemistry was really good.
Yeah.
Although, can we talk about the tea of her acting? What do we think
She's a
about?
little flat in this movie.
Right?
Yeah.
She's very
I felt-
young.
Yes,
And
absolutely.
you can tell, yeah.
She's fucking 14.
Yeah.
And she's having these sex scenes, and I'm like, bitch, at 14, you're so, like, insecure. At
Yes.
least I was
Oh,
insecure.
yeah.
That was not me at 14.
Yeah. Well, the only thing that I was thinking of is that at this point, again, she was a professional model, and
Yeah.
models in doing catwalks in Europe, you're naked in a room in front of a ton of people. So maybe to her, just like working with her body, that was just something that she'd been doing for a couple
I
of
love
years,
that, though.
which is still though pretty insane to be
Yeah.
14 and be like, yeah, I've been like walking the runways of Europe for 2 years already since I was 12.
Yeah, it's just a little different experience from
Yeah.
most people.
Yeah, totally.
But it makes sense. She has a God-given. I mean, that face.
Oh my God,
is
yeah,
one of
for
the
sure.
most stunning. I think
it's
that-
ridiculous.
Oh yeah,
when I was watching it last night, I was getting a little
aroused.
a little aroused for sure, but I feel like she was serving me a little like Carrie Russell, like in the face. Like I was like,
I could see that.
I can see a little Carrie Russell.
Oh,
in
yeah.
there. And Randall Kleiser worked with Carrie Russell later, and honey, it blew up the kid.
Comes
Maybe
full
he
circle.
saw her and was just like,
is in
she's the Brooke Shields type. Let's get that one back here.
She does. She did have. She had that hair and she had
Yeah,
the brows.
indeed.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I do agree. Her acting is a little one note. Would you say?
Yeah.
Yeah. One note.
Do we let her pass because she's 14?
But also, like, I was imagining the scene with the babies.
Oh yeah.
Like, I was like, could you imagine the director being like, now just look at this baby like it's yours and you're 14.
Yeah, and
You
you-
know what I mean? Like, what's that? I'd love to know.
and
what
and they have
that's
like no idea where it came from. They're just like, did she even know she was pregnant?
It
whole
was very quick.
Yeah,
This
it
was
was-
a 4
Well,
month
and that's what's
This
kind of
pregnancy
that's what's
was
kind of
fast.
interesting about this movie is that they're so far removed.
Yeah.
and they went there as young children, so they sort of have the mindset of like
Yes.
a 10-year-old.
Yes, and,
And
we
they-
get that throughout the movie when they only know so many lines of songs. Like they're singing Christmas carols and they only know the first line of each song. And they get words that they pronounce incorrectly because they their education stopped when they were children. So did their kind of maybe their maturity.
She hasn't had the sex talk yet,
No,
or she doesn't know her period is coming.
yeah.
Which I mean, for
That's true.
For like the late 1800s, early 1900s, that was definitely a thing.
Yeah. Oh yeah, exactly. Like
Women weren't super familiar with their bodies.
who's she going to go to?
Yeah.
Like, even if she was at home. Yeah, that seems kind of intense.
I feel like they did get the right part though of like the woman suffering, and then the guy's like, "What's wrong?
Yeah.
What should I do?" Like, "Oh God, you're having a baby. What's that like?"
Yeah.
Oh no.
I did like after she had the baby, he said something about like, "Oh, this all started after he came."
Yeah. It was like, Jesus Christ, you're 16.
Yeah.
You can't have sex for a night. All right. Jesus. She's like, "It hurts me." He's like, "I don't care."
Yeah. Let's sit on it.
For real. He's like, "I want it. I want it now."
But I mean, can you just imagine though, discovering sex
On a fucking island
on
like
a fucking
that?
island, and and you're the only two there, so you can just do it whenever you want, wherever.
You have to have a lot of time.
Yeah.
I mean,
Which they definitely
lot of
had.
time.
nothing but
Yeah.
they had a lot of time to fill. So.
Well, I love how he was like, "Oh, you want me to keep you warm? Yeah,
Yeah.
come up, keep me warm." She's like sobbing. He's like, "Come on, I'm going to keep you warm. We got to do it again."
Yeah. I mean, he was a boy.
No, I know, but that's like it. That this movie does portray sexuality in that way,
Sure.
very well. Like the whole exploration of it, I think, is very interesting.
Yeah.
And that must have been crazy for the time. This must have been like a stir up, right?
Oh yeah, I think so.
Because like this is crazy what's seen on like this footage and these young actors too.
The interesting thing is when like you look up reviews, most of the reviews are bad. It was
I have a really good cunty Roger Ebert review.
It
of
was
this
poorly
movie.
reviewed, but most of the bad reviews are just like the acting's bad. There's not a lot of story. They don't really mention like any weird taboos or like any of that stuff.
So it is a 9% fresh on Rotten.
So
boy.
Roger Ebert wrote,
That's
"It could have
wrong.
conceivably have been made interesting if any serious attempt had been made to explore what might actually happen if two 7-year-old kids were shipwrecked on an island, but this isn't a realistic movie. It's widely idealized romance in which kids live in a hut that looks like a Club Med honeymoon cottage." Shade. While restless natives commit human sacrifice on the other side of the island.
I mean,
Ooh.
he's not wrong.
No. I mean, that's exactly what it is.
Yeah, but I think, like we're saying, there's a definite legitimate exploration of these kids coming of age alone. You know, what would happen if they don't have anybody to talk to them about what's happening to their bodies? They have no idea what's happening to their bodies.
There's no influence of society in them. All they have is themselves.
That part I found interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, when you're like a teenage boy, not even a teenage boy, sometimes younger than that, I mean, you are popping boners left
sure.
and right. And it doesn't even have to be because there's a half-naked girl across from you or half-naked boy across
But what
from
I
you.
liked is that they did her first.
Yes.
She was the one who was like,
Yeah.
"Oh, why am I feeling this way?"
Yeah, and I think they did that
Pete has a clip of
because
that.
yes, I do. I think they did that because, you know, like traditionally you always hear in school like girls mature faster than boys. So I think they're just like, okay, so then she was probably going to be the one to have these. Do we want to do funny thoughts or do we want to do look at your muscles?
You should do the funny thoughts one.
Okay.
Why are we always fighting so much?
I don't know.
That should be our New Year's revolution. Stop fighting so much.
I'll try, but
But what?
I don't know what's wrong with me when I say the things I say. I just keep on having all these strange thoughts.
What kind of thoughts?
Just thoughts. Funny thoughts about you and me.
Tell me.
I couldn't. They're just thoughts. They don't mean anything.
Yeah,
So I guess at this point she's like,
I just want you to bone.
yeah, just stick it in.
I'm just looking at your nice perky ass.
Oh, for real though. But there's that moment where it's the zoom in of her, and she's just like taking him in. Like, this is a man now.
And he's
Ugh.
like doing some weird like fishing thing, but he is posed
Oh,
like
you could tell he was flexing his
Yeah, he was
arm,
definitely
his
flexing.
biceps the
Like a
entire film.
Greek
yeah,
god.
Yeah.
Oh, God damn it.
Yeah, those shots though where she was staring at his muscles, he was definitely like he
Oh,
had
yeah.
the like 1 foot like on his toe. He was like
Arched.
Tyra Banks, HTT.
Yeah, for sure.
He was like
Posing the house down for her.
yeah, for sure.
Booty tooch.
We
I
have
need
a
that
lot
song
of we have a lot
on
of
my board.
stupid America's Next Top Model tangents on this show.
I love that.
we
love
had to
the
cut
show.
one out
It's a
of our
great
last
show.
show because
Oh,
we went on
no.
for too long.
Oh no!
Yeah,
I've seen every single cycle.
As have we.
Love
As
that.
have we.
I love that. Okay,
Now,
where were we?
Did they? Well, while we're on the subject, did they ever do like a desert island challenge
I feel like they
where
did
they,
For
many.
they did like a
Yeah.
Blue Lagoon type of photo shoot?
Yes,
I'm
for
sure
sure they
they
did. They did a beach one for sure, and then they had that random challenge. It was one of the first seasons with the boys where they made them literally race up a mountain. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I remember that.
I was like, the fuck! They're on this nice, beautiful island, and they
now
have to
it's
run up to the
Amazing
top
Race.
of this hill.
that was the cycle that Jordan won, I think.
Yes, correct. Because it was almost what was the guy the androgynous guy Corey?
Oh, sure, Corey. Yeah.
Yeah, he was great too.
All right, Scott, where are we going with this?
The Blue Lagoon. The Blue Lagoon.
Oh, man. So she starts to have funny thoughts. She's coming into her own sexually, but he's still just like, I'm fishing. Like, who cares?
Yeah.
Just kind of living his life.
Oh, but then there's that crazy moment when she's in the water.
Oh, my goodness.
And was that animation, the sparkly effects?
Okay.
When she's in the water and she looks like a mermaid
I looked
all of a
into
sudden?
that.
Okay, good.
That I think it's like I think that comes in the wild from jellyfish. When it can light up the water.
It's supposed to be a bioluminescent effect, but for the movie, they bumped
looked-
it up.
yeah, definitely.
It was like a weird rotoscope thing. It kind of looked Tron-ish.
It was like a moonlight moment.
Yeah, but I think they were trying to go for this like bioluminescence thing with like the algae where it kind of like makes the water glow a little bit,
makes sense.
but it's like a once in a...
But yeah, I think that the water, like ocean water, can light up like that from jellyfish. I think.
Or horniness.
Or, yes.
Or teenage
Teenage-
horniness.
Because that's when
absolutely.
that's when he was like,
Yeah. Boy, oy, oy.
yeah,
Yeah.
there's just him at his like club discotheque, whatever that tree place is.
Yeah.
Just looking out, and he's like, oh yeah, it's something about her.
His weird lifeguard station
Oh yeah.
that he had built with some of the architecture that they had on this island.
Well, all he did on that island, let's be real, was fish, hunt, masturbate by that rock, and
Yeah.
then once she wanted it, fuck her.
Just boner, yeah.
And then that was it.
I feel like if you have an entire island to yourself, I think I'd find a more remote place to jerk off.
yeah, it was.
It's
Well, maybe he
fully-
likes
It's
that.
a pretty big island.
Yeah.
Maybe he likes the
He likes-
ocean view.
Maybe he's like, maybe a sailor will see me off the.
There you go. He's got a signal fire for you.
But yeah, no,
Wow.
my favorite part is it was such shade. She was like, I know what you do. I see
seen
you. I've seen you touch
When you
yourself.
play with it.
I literally said out loud to my TV, I said, go discover your clit, girl.
She is
that
not ready.
moment.
She is not ready for that.
Oh, man. I was like, you can do it
She never will
too.
be.
They're just on each side of the island, just like
separately jerking off. That would be amazing. Well, I mean, what if little Richard, just wasn't into Emmeline? Is that her name?
Emily?
Emily?
Was it
Ooh.
Emily?
Emmeline. I think it was Emmeline.
Do you think so? You're saying that he just put it in because
no,
she was there?
I'm just saying, what if, like, in an alternate universe, like, an another, another telling of this tale,
he was
Li-
gay.
Yeah, and she was just like, Richard, your muscles, and he's like, shut up.
Oh,
Girl,
that would be
give me that
would
dress.
that would be a really good SNL sketch.
actually, yeah.
And he just keeps like rebuffing her like advances
That's a really funny.
He starts
and like
concept.
and wearing flower crowns.
He starts the styler in her like beautiful
Yeah, she's like, I'm sick of
beautiful
playing dress up.
island looks.
Oh my god! And then it becomes like Will and Grace,
Yeah.
but like on an island, and then they're like little cannibal friends will
Oh,
become the
man.
series regulars.
Yeah,
Oh.
he's like got the hots for like one of the cannibal guys like
Oh,
from
yeah.
afar.
Wow, that's that's actually a really funny idea for a sketch though. Work.
I like it.
Wait, where were we?
Copyright. So he's discovering himself while she's off.
Well, she discovers that giant rock.
Yes, the weird altar for the.
So I
the
was trying to
cannibals.
figure out what the bleeding rock was a metaphor for. Is it sort of like society, like looking down on them as they're fornicating?
I think it was like there was definitely a sinning theme,
Sure.
a theme of sinning and like blood and lust and blood for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And I think all that is very primal, very like animalistic. So I
Yeah.
think that I want to say it felt like a loss of innocence type situation because that's when you bleed, you get your period.
Yeah.
When you see the blood again, that's how I was taking it.
But if they're like a new Adam and Eve on this island, I mean, eventually they gotta like bone down and have a kid at some point. Like, what are they supposed? They can't just remain chaste their entire life.
Well, I'm not gonna lie. I thought they were related the entire film
Right,
until
yeah.
she said when she's standing above, like, "Your dad. I'm gonna tell your dad."
yeah. Oh, yeah.
And then I was like, "Oh,
yeah.
because I was like, why are they waiting so long?"
Right. Right.
Well, that's why.
Yeah.
But then when I found out they weren't, I was like, "Oh, interesting."
Yeah, they're just
so,
cousins.
but whose dad? Feeney is whose dad? His.
Richards. Yeah.
Okay, and who? She's just a friend.
I
She's-
think that it's,
I think she's a cousin.
I think
Okay.
she's Richard's, or it's Mr. Feeney's sister's daughter.
Okay,
Yeah, because
but that wasn't really said.
No.
Okay. Good.
I feel like at the very beginning on the ship, I feel like she said uncle something.
Probably that was the boring
Yeah,
part.
that was boring. But we weren't paying attention when they were like screaming, and he was like father, and I think she was like uncle
Yes.
Feeny, So I think that's where it's like in my brain. So yeah, I think that's what happened. But yeah, they are, I guess, they're first cousins, which at the time,
Hey,
probably
Whatever.
commonplace.
Sure.
yeah. I mean,
They're on this island. Why the hell not?
What? Yeah.
well, also, yeah. At that point, it's like I almost wish they hadn't been rescued because I was like, oh, look, they're finally becoming self-sufficient.
Yes.
Like they got that little tree mansion.
Well,
Like,
she
they're good.
even sees the boat and she doesn't
like the signal
she doesn't
fire.
like the signal
Yeah.
because she knows this is their paradise and she doesn't want to ruin it.
Oh, there's that moment though when they look at each other. Oh yeah, there's that
Well,
moment.
yeah,
It's silent.
there's-
You can tell that Brooke's
Yes.
like, I'm fucking acting.
Yes. Okay. Well, there's two scenes that we're talking about here. There's the one where he just sees the boat and goes, and he's far away from the signal fire. She sees the ship, sees their signal fire, and just leaves it. And he's like, "What the hell, dude?" And she's just like, "Whatever. This is her home now." But then after, when they have the kid and they're like wrestling in the mud or whatever, they both see the boat and they're both
they
look at
walk
each
away.
other and they're just like, "Fuck them."
Mm-hmm.
And Mr. Feeney was on the boat,
Yeah.
Looking all crazy like Einstein at
looking
this point.
like Einstein. Yep.
Because like 6 to 8 years have passed for these kids, but like 40 years have passed for like Mr. Feeney.
They're in like a weird lost J.J. Abrams
Yeah.
like time warp.
Possibly.
And then I just remember them making the snow angels. Well, they kept on being like, it's cold like snow.
Yeah, with the mud.
With the mud and the
Yeah.
poor little kid.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Now, I was reading in like, I don't know if it was like a synopsis on Wikipedia or IMDb or something, that in that scene, we are to infer that when Mr. Feeney and his shipmates see them with their binoculars, that they're covered in mud. And so Feeney and crew think that they could possibly just be natives themselves. And that's why they don't investigate further.
I mean, maybe.
And leave them.
Yeah.
I mean, there's lots of loopholes here.
Yeah.
The plot, I mean.
Well, also, we never see how these children are able to just make fire so easily.
Well, and also,
Yeah.
don't we still have the threat of the other people?
Yes,
Is that
indeed.
described at all? Like, are they going to be in trouble, or I don't know.
Do you think that
knows?
these natives are just like these fucking white people on this island?
Probably,
Yeah.
two idiots.
They're like-
these two idiots.
or like, will you stop having fucking sex? Like, we can hear you all the way over here, and I have a fucking baby. It's terrible.
That's why they're like constantly pounding those drums. They're like, those fucking kids are at it again. Let's chant.
They're so mad. They're like, within a year, you came here, you had a baby. God damn it.
So, I mean, eventually, well, let's play a little bit of the clip from. There's our second clip when Brooke or Emmeline is still coming into her own, and Richard still is not taking the hint quite yet.
What are you looking at?
Your muscles.
What about it? You're really acting silly lately, Em. Always saying dumb things like that. Always looking at me funny. You're not coming down with something, are you? Don't give it to me.
See, at that point, he still doesn't really care about her.
Mhm.
But then, like,
He just hasn't, like, I don't think he's hit puberty yet.
yeah, probably.
But what's funny is that he clearly has,
Well,
obviously,
his
because
bod-
of his
yeah,
muscles and
that
his
bod.
pit hair.
Yeah.
But, like, there's that moment, though, that is so sexual when he comes out of his little tree whatever.
Yeah.
And he has his arms up, and he has pit hair. He's a man. He
Yeah.
looks like a man.
Yes,
and you
indeed.
could tell the director was like, yes, like you get that virile, like I'm here. I can fuck now.
Yeah.
Something has changed. And it all
Yeah.
happened after that goddamn jellyfish scene.
Yes.
That's all he needed.
That's all. He just needed a frolic in the ocean with
The
some,
way the
like-
moon hit
Yeah.
her body, honey.
Yes, indeed.
She was highlighted.
That moment was energized.
Oh yeah. But then that's when it transferred to him too, and then he was like, "Oh, I get it."
Yeah.
And then there's a whole bunch of sex that
Oh
ensued.
my goodness. So much.
They make sweet, passionate love in front of the big rock too.
Oh yeah.
Which
Lots
I
of
was
rock
like,
sex.
oh, this is like society like looking down on them as they're like sinning.
They boned in front of the weird altar?
yeah.
Oh, I don't even remember
Oh, see
that.
that
I must have been checking
definitely
my
was
phone.
intentional.
Yeah,
then.
that's
Oh yeah,
Oh, yeah.
yeah. You know for a fact that director was like, yes.
Well, they were at this point. They were still like kind of arguing back and forth, and then she like stepped on that crazy fish. That, like, stung her foot.
I thought it was going to be like worse.
Yeah.
So when she was just like, "Okay,
I'm better."
I'm all right," I was like, "Oh, okay."
Let's bone now.
Yeah, exactly. well, I think what you mean is, are you ready to keep warm?
Yeah,
He kept on
exactly.
saying
Yes.
that. It was like, Jesus, yes,
Yeah, maybe that was her ruse to finally get him to like stick it in.
probably.
She was just like, "Oh, my foot."
I mean, that dick was parked in her vagina
For
the
a
entire.
while.
Oh my God.
Man, there are shots that I just look at Christopher Atkins' Tarzan brief and just think his penis and balls are just like
You can see right through it.
you can see pretty much his scrotum.
Oh
in
yeah,
that.
oh man, it just teleports me back to like the first time like being turned on by a dude and being like,
Yeah.
oh shit, there's something
like-
naughty
Yeah.
about it.
You're watching guys undress in the locker room.
Yes, it's
And
that.
all of a sudden you're putting stuff in your bag very, very slowly.
Well, he's basically wearing a jockstrap. This is where
Yeah.
it all comes from.
For sure.
It all comes from this film.
Indeed,
Literally.
it should have been backless. Can you imagine? If
Oh.
his ass is just hanging out.
Well, that's the thing too. Is I'm like, they were all naked already. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, we saw it.
Well, and then also, and who knows if this is true? Again, this is IMDb trivia, which is dubious.
We'll take that with a grain of salt.
Yes, take it with a grain of salt. Just your Tim Gunn hat. I'm dubious. But it does say that Randall Kleiser's original intention was for them to just be naked the entire time.
See, that makes sense though.
Yeah.
Sure.
because
I
they
buy it.
because they would have been.
And those clothes would have been disintegrated
Yes.
into nothing at this point.
They're getting a lot of mileage from
Yeah.
these like bolts of material that they
Yeah.
got from this trunk.
I want to know from like the costume designers if they just wore one the entire time,
Right, for
or if it was a
continuity.
different one like every. Because the entire time I was watching this movie, all I could think of was the smells.
Yes.
Right?
I feel like what did that set smell like? Because I feel like they didn't have access to like. Maybe they did, but like hotels and stuff rather quickly. So they're just
Yeah,
like,
when they're on set shooting, it's just we're here for 18 hours.
well,
probably.
Christopher Atkins said that he lived in like a hut during the
Oh
filming
yeah, he
of
said he was
it.
in a tent.
just because.
Yeah, he wanted to just immerse himself in it. He was method, even though this is his first movie.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that. I just kept on thinking, and I was like, realistically, if this wasn't a movie, they would have smelled so bad.
Oh, my
and he would
goodness.
have had like a beard, and there would have been, there's so many different things that
Yeah.
you think of.
So this costume designer is French. I'm trying to see if he did anything big.
Love that.
He did Somewhere in Time, and that's pretty much it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
He retired after the Blue Lagoon.
Yeah. I was thinking about Richard growing a beard, and I was like, well, maybe Christopher Atkins is just one of those like kids at the time he just couldn't grow a beard
So
until
true.
he was in his 20s maybe.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, and also that would probably take away from like the whole youthful.
Yeah, that was
thing.
definitely a
They
choice.
definitely
but, yeah.
wanted to make this. I mean, this movie I think was scandalous because they just seem so young.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's very Spring Awakening,
Oh,
where it's like,
goodness.
oh God, we're so little kids having sex, so scandalous,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
and I think the studio definitely pushed that. I think that's why this is still an iconic film.
Yeah.
Is because of that.
Yeah, for
and,
sure.
And also, this movie was pretty successful too.
Yeah.
like it was a hit. So
Yeah.
it was panned by critics. They gave Brooke Shields' performance a hard time. The cinematography was raved, and it did get an Oscar nomination. But in spite of its criticism, the movie was a commercial success. It grossed over $58 million on a $4.5 million budget and became the ninth highest grossing film of 1980.
See,
so
sex always sells.
So audiences were into it.
Oh, of course they were.
Yeah.
They were into this apparently in the 1900s when it was written into a book.
Right.
We've always been into Twilight. On a beach.
Yeah.
In Washington. It's always the same. We like these kind of stories. We like to see sex on screen.
Indeed.
Ugh.
I can see your dirty pillows. Everyone will.
And boy, did we ever.
Now just flashbacks of him doing the dance, the titty dance, the coconut dance.
Oh my goodness, that was crazy. The tattoo situation on Mr. Button, I was just like,
He had these sexy ladies on his chest.
He had naked ladies on his chest. He had like a crazy parrot on one arm.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like the colors were kind of like a little bit more vibrant in some scenes.
I don't know if tattoos would have been that colorful at this time.
Oh yeah, they had to be removable.
Yeah,
right?
I was like, I don't think you could pack in that much color on a ship.
Oh yeah, but look at that sex appeal. Jesus,
I can't stop looking at this Blue Lagoon cover.
We'll post a picture of my Blue Lagoon vinyl, and I love that the tagline is "A story of natural love."
Wow.
Natural is right.
You know what? Fuck this. It's 2020. I want a gay version of Blue Lagoon.
I'm telling you.
I think. Well, I mean, definitely, it's probably a Sean Cody video.
I was
going to
say there may be one already.
I want like
Pornhub.
an actual one day. I want us to be so forward as a thinking country that could be a movie, but like done well. Like Call Me by Your Name.
It needs to be like directed by like Tom Hooper.
Absolutely.
Who just did, like Cats and who just did Cats.
but like let's say
swooping crane shots.
Let's say this story happened, but instead of Richard's little cousin Emmeline, it was his little cousin Emmett.
And then you have to deal with homosexuality and coming to terms with that while being on an island.
On this island.
While not having lube.
Are they homosexuals? Are they just having sex with each other because we're alone?
Are they having group with the others?
With
the island?
The others.
Right. Is it just straight guys having sex because they're bored?
Well,
I don't know.
See, that's an interesting thing then because with sexuality, because then it's like, well, hey, a whole is a whole, right? And then that would be so interesting.
Yeah.
I am here for an update on Blue Lagoon.
So there was an update to this movie done in 2012. Blue Lagoon: The Awakening.
Straight.
Yeah,
it was made for Lifetime with help me with this pronunciation,
Brendan
Thwaites from Gods of Egypt and
sexy.
one of the Pirates movies.
Sure.
Mm-hmm. Also co-starring Denise Richards. Movies that made us gay all-star.
That movie seems insane, and it is a Blue Lagoon movie, and these kids are running around in like board shorts and Daisy Dukes.
Did you guys watch the trailer?
I'm not.
I watched the trailer.
I didn't watch the trailer.
I just saw images.
So I get what the story is that they're going on a cruise for school.
No.
This was kind of unclear from the trailer, but
so it's like present day.
It's present day,
and it's made for Lifetime.
They're going on a cruise.
They're going to be fully clothed,
and everyone from school is there. And she ends up falling off the boat, and then he jumps in to rescue her. And then all of a sudden, they end up on an island.
Do they ever in board shorts? Do they ever shed that? Probably not.
Probably not. Not for a Lifetime movie.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Boring.
Yeah. And she's wearing like Daisy Duke, like cut off jeans and like a bikini top.
No.
It's like, no, it's no good.
No.
Hashtag not my boo.
Not my
Blue Lagoon.
No.
No,
never.
I want Brooke Shields and her fucking hair over her titties.
Yes.
That's my Blue Lagoon.
So here's my question when watching this movie. She eventually does get knocked up because of the constant sex once they discover what sex is.
Literally just I don't know if I can say that, but yep.
And they don't even know what's going on. She's just like, feel my stomach, like what's going on in my tummy? And he's just like, what are you doing? She's like, I'm not doing anything. Because there's like, he put a baby in there.
I think it's interesting that they don't give her a belly.
Yeah, well, it's so quick.
Like, but then they do, but it's like barely. You can't, like, you see it, I think, in one shot.
This montage
maybe,
is like
two.
one.
I mean, she's
But
pregnant.
it's very quick.
She's pregnant for maybe like a long weekend.
Yeah.
According to this movie.
Yeah.
3-month pregnancy, for sure.
This montage is like 2 cuts.
Well, and that birth, too, it was like,
done.
Beautiful, clean as fuck baby.
6-month-old baby.
Yeah. No placenta on it, nothing.
Yeah, nothing.
Like, that baby came from Props Warehouse.
Yeah, fully. And but my question is, now they've got like a little baby boy.
That penis.
And I was going to say, I hope Richard was not circumcised, because otherwise he'd be like, what the fuck is wrong with its dick?
Right?
Yeah. I'm not going to lie. I was like, oh, wow.
Were people, but I take it that back in the olden days, probably you
I
were
don't know.
usually
Maybe they didn't do it. Yeah.
uncircumcised.
It just seemed
Maybe.
very pointy.
It was very pointy.
And it's so funny because I was watching the whole movie and I was like, oh, wow, lots of naked bodies. But then that, out of everything,
The baby
really
dick.
shook me.
Well, we don't see a lot of them. And
No.
for good reason.
Yes.
Not around a lot of babies.
But it was cute. There was a lot of innocence versus loss of innocence in this movie.
And then once they had the baby, they had to like come together as this unit to like figure it out. Like they're trying to like feed it like fruit.
Yeah.
And it's just like a newborn baby.
Well, there's that scene where they like silently looked at each other and they were like, I'm a dad. And she's like, I'm a mom.
Guess
And
so.
then they were like, okay, this is our life.
It's their life now.
Fuck that boat.
I guess we're not going out on weekends anymore.
But for real, that's all they do. They just have the mud. They're snow angels.
Yeah, there's snow mud angels, but but now they've built like this idyllic life, and again we get to the point where we do see the ship, and they're just like, fuck it,
Literally.
we grown, we got a baby.
This is our home now.
Yeah,
But I mean, when you see that, that real estate, man, you can't. It doesn't
I
get
mean-
better.
I mean,
No, this
taking
is-
that how
they're
shitty
homeowners.
life was back in the day, I mean, I'll take the island.
For sure.
I'll take the island over, like, I don't know, you could possibly
Cholera.
like die of like cholera or something.
yeah, true.
Not when you're living in that cushy treehouse, though.
No, yeah, they don't have to
Bananas for days. Those bananas, they smashed into those
worry. Fish
bananas.
up the ass. Like,
Oh, yeah, literally. God.
there's like guava. There's so yeah.
Oh. Speaking of the guava, actually, you reminded me of that very sexy moment.
Oh yes.
When
Yes.
it was very sweet. And that moment actually almost seemed like it was improv. I know it wasn't.
Yeah.
But you could tell, like, I was like, ooh, this is real. I feel like I'm actually watching these two, like, foreplay.
Yeah,
This is,
Like,
Sure.
give me a kiss. No, your face is all sticky.
yeah. And then she liked it.
Yes.
She at first she was like, oh, it's sticky. And then she was like, oh,
Yeah.
oh, man.
That was a good one.
I mean, this movie, because it came out, what was the year it came out?
1980.
That's crazy.
That's insane.
Because, like, seeing that, like, this played in movie houses. People
Like,
went to go
legitimate.
see this. Like,
Yeah.
I already get very nervous when I see movies with my parents because
Oh,
I
yeah.
don't like, most people do.
Yeah.
But I grew up Catholic, very right wing conservative. Clearly, I sold myself to the devil. I'm gay and all that. But where was I saying?
Just how insane it would have been to
Oh yeah,
for this movie.
but
to
I
be...
hate watching. To this day, I hate watching things with my parents because I know they're going to be like, "Oh, they should have put a thing on,
Yeah,
or
yeah.
whatever." And I'm just imagining watching that papaya scene or whatever,
Yeah.
with my parents,
Oh.
and literally just being like, "Let's go." They would have been like, "We're leaving. Look at me. This is trash."
Yeah.
Filth.
Well, I feel like, you think, oh, well, back then that was like, this movie is almost 40 years old. It's
Oh my
coming
god,
on
I'm going to barf.
39 years, or no, it's coming on 40 years, 2020
Mm-hmm.
since it came out. And you just think, wow, so long ago, like what were the ideas of like sex and nudity and all that? But I feel like, especially for movies and TV or for movies, that like thoughts on sex and nudity have like gotten more conservative
Yeah.
than I feel
varies,
like you
but yeah.
think we'd be more liberal now with that, but now it's like nudity in movies and like mainstream new movies, you never see nudity
that.
anymore.
It's definitely like it's rotated to TV.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
you'll see it on HBO.
Yeah.
HBO shows a lot of dick.
yes, yeah.
But like in movies,
Even
yeah.
just love scenes, like action movies before
Oh,
would
yeah.
always have like a love scene with like the action star and like the female lead. That's not in movies anymore.
And also, you can tell this is like a pre-MPAA time.
Oh, yeah, for
where,
sure.
I mean, this movie was fully probably rated PG just because of movie ratings back then.
yeah,
It was either PG or R.
I think it has to be R.
My mom would have been like, "You let him watch."
What? It has to be R. It's too much.
It was PG. Like literally, oh my God, my mom watching this would be, I mean, that's why it's like, to me, if I were Brooke Shields' mom, or these people have parents.
Yeah.
And so that to me is an interesting thing, because my question to you guys is, would you let your 14-year-old daughter do this? Well, I mean, like, what's your thought?
I mean, if she was an international, high fashion model, I don't know.
Is it
my
weird
daughter,
to sexualize 14-year-olds?
Well,
Right?
yeah,
Yeah.
that's a whole other debate too.
That's my, because like this is the
It was
Millie
a
Bobby
very-
Brown
It was
situation.
a very
Yes,
different.
exactly.
It was a very
Exactly.
different time.
Yeah.
Where those type of questions weren't really asked when Brooke Shields was working the rounds as a model when she was like 15.
I mean,
Yeah.
Jodie Foster had just played a teenage prostitute.
Yeah.
A few years
that's crazy.
before this,
Yeah.
So these young girls were doing these movies. Little Darlings had just come out in the late 70s with Christy McNichol. It's like that was kind of, I mean, not the norm, but it was a little bit more widely accepted. But I think now it is a little bit more gross when it is something like Millie Bobby Brown, because I don't know, maybe it's just the purveyance of, now it's more like we have access to these people as like real live humans.
Yes, we can get to know them intimately through Instagram.
And so maybe then in a movie, it's like it's a role and we don't really know what Jodie Foster's doing unless you read like a trade magazine. You have to go out of your way to be like a super fan. And so maybe we weren't really like fetishizing them as girls or as people, but the role, I don't know if that makes
I'd
any
be
sense.
curious to see what Brooke Shields' relationship with this movie is like now.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure
Definitely.
that probably her, as a grown woman and being a mother, has probably having to come to terms with being
Yeah.
sexualized so young.
Yeah.
That I'm sure that was probably something that she had to go through herself when she got older and became a mom.
Because I feel like that does something to your psyche. Because like,
Sure.
even like, I mean, Jennifer Aniston, at the peak of her career and being young and everything, she's always been a sex icon. But she still went through puberty, college. She had some of her 20s before she, started to have that happen with these young, impressionable.
Oh, yeah.
Very impressionable 14-year-old. I mean, that's like barely high school. That's a freshman.
Oh, yeah, totally.
So I'm like
Middle
imagining
school.
myself, would I want to be sexualized at
Yeah.
14? And what that, because every guy, for a fact, had a poster of her, just like all the gays had a poster of him, and all the girls, and the Playboys and all that
Yeah,
stuff.
for sure.
That must do something in your head, and also with your aging process too. I think that adds like a pressure to be like, well, am I always going to be a sex icon?
Yeah.
And
maybe, I don't know, maybe something about her just having this really advanced kind of like maturing kind of helped her out, because she never really had like a dark time. Like
No.
she
like
always,
her
She never-
postpartum depression.
She never,
that
she
talked
never
about,
quite
but-
fell off the wagon when she was young.
Yeah. And maybe it was because her mom was so kooky, and she was just like, okay, maybe I got to keep myself on the straight and narrow.
Maybe if you're introduced to stuff like that earlier, I mean, a lot is taboo in the United States. So it's if you're like, this is sex, this is what this is what we're dealing with.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not as big of a thing.
And going to Studio 54 at like 15 years old.
Yeah, which is crazy.
And she's just like, oh yeah, and Andy Warhol and blah, blah, blah. And you're just like, what the hell?
You're a model. Like you're a supermodel.
And she did make it a point to say, I just wanted to dance.
Yes.
I went to go and be on the dance floor, and I was
course.
dancing the entire time. She's like, I would see the velvet rope, and I would see the VIP area where everybody was, and Bianca Jagger and all of them. She's like, and that looked cool. She goes, but I was just dancing the whole time. So I think she was just like, I was just there to have fun and be a kid.
But yeah, she's 14.
Yeah.
She's a teenager.
But like, she doesn't have regular friends. Her friends
Of
are like
course.
Liza Minnelli and
And
Fucking Andy Warhol.
Truman Capote.
And
Jesus.
she did talk about, because we also
Wow.
watched a newer interview that she just did for Vanity Fair where she's going through red carpet and modeling looks.
Yeah.
And she just talks about looks on every single one. And she looks at I can't remember what photographer did it, but she's wearing this big piece of jewelry. And she says, yeah, it weighed a lot. We did the photo, and I had to go home to like New Jersey to do my homework.
Yeah.
So I think that she was still
I think that was
living somewhat
Richard
of
Avedon.
a regular life.
That's kind of like Tyra Banks in the beginning,
Yeah,
too.
totally.
Because her mom was Eno. Like, she'd be like, okay, go to Milan, come back. We're
Yeah.
going to do this. Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
That's such an interesting... What a life.
I mean, good work if you can get it.
Exactly. Well, and what's great about it is that, like, Brooke Shields, you'd think that this movie with, like, a stinker like this would, ruin her career.
Yeah.
Sometimes that happens. But, like, if anything, it probably just blew her up to this huge sex goddess.
It didn't, like, go by the way of Elizabeth Berkley and Showgirls.
No, which it could have.
Which fully cost her jobs, probably.
Yes,
Yeah,
it could have done that.
Yeah.
She's so young, too.
Yeah, and Brooke didn't exactly have the biggest movie career, but she still was relevant and was still in the public eye, and then she eventually did go to TV. So, yeah, I mean... And
what about... We've been Brooke heavy. What about good old Chris?
Chris Atkins, I mean...
After the whole...
I would say...
He was a heartthrob, and then as an adult, do you think
he made a few movies in the 80s, but he didn't really have anything that was that big of a hit.
Yeah, he didn't really...
He did the pirate movie.
I remember the pirate movie.
The pirate
also
movie.
with Christy McNichol.
Is it called the pirate
It's
movie?
literally called the pirate
Christy
movie. Yeah.
McNichol.
Okay.
It's kind of a
Check
parody,
that one
and
out.
it's like a weird musical from like the
Oh.
early 80s.
And it's
Yeah.
not Pirates of Penzance?
No.
Oh.
Yes. It's not Pirates of
Okay.
Penzance. Don't get that, because that's with Kevin Kline.
Oh, yeah, that one's great.
I get the pirate movie confused a lot with Ice Pirates with Angelica Houston.
No, that's a sci-fi movie with Robert Urich. Also good.
Not familiar with that one, but might have to check it out.
And then A Night in
Ice
Heaven. A Night in Heaven is pretty much unavailable. It's just a really...
We saw a shitty YouTube copy of it.
It's
This
like,
is Brooke?
No,
Or no,
this
this is
is
Chris.
No, this is Chris.
Yeah.
So
Night in
I was
Heaven.
mentioning it
Yeah.
earlier. In
Is
A
it-
Night in Heaven, he
He's a male
plays
stripper.
like a male stripper putting himself through college, and he begins an affair with his teacher who shows up at like one of his shows.
Wow.
And don't you see his dick in that too?
You do.
Yeah.
And
Wait,
that movie,
is it-
He was
and
not
that movie
shy.
was not
No,
successful
he
too.
was not. Okay.
Like,
Wow,
it was
he
kind
really,
of a big bust.
I think there's a bit of voyeurism to him. I
Yes.
think he likes
Exhibitionist.
that. Yeah, he
Yes.
likes being kind of this sex icon.
Yes. He's just like...
Interesting. He always leaned into those parts. You know.
I did find his current Instagram page.
Oh.
And he's like a cute friend of my parents.
Like your
Oh.
dad.
He's like
your
out.
dad's hot friend.
He's like out fishing in like the Bahamas, so he stays pretty active for an older guy. And yeah,
He's like that one guy
He still
who
looks
comes,
pretty good.
He comes to Thanksgiving. He's single.
Yeah.
You're like, he's kind of hot. No one else is around here. Let's bone.
Well, Christopher Atkins, you're welcome on the show.
My God. But I mean, for real, it's looking at photos of him. It's so weird. Without this image of him with Brooke in loincloths,
Yeah.
I saw way bore I saw the movie.
Yes.
Because it's a part of pop culture.
Yes,
It's
for
iconic because this picture is sex in one.
Yes.
This is coming of age. It's like you could just see that in one photo.
Yeah.
This movie is it is like very influential actually.
Yeah.
With its message. I just wish the plot was a little better, but
Yeah.
for what it was, and I mean, it was definitely iconic. Like watching it, you get feelings watching
Yeah.
it. At least I did. I was like, ooh.
Yeah, it's a device for us to get these feelings and to see these beautiful kids running around the beach and these wonderful locations and all of that.
And we talked about it at the beginning, but gay men just have an affection for this movie.
Oh yeah,
That this
I mean,
was a
for
huge.
sure.
This was a huge part of a lot of people's childhood.
Because I think it's
was first
easy-
watching this movie. Yeah,
I think it's easy to be like a kid or a teenager and be like, I don't have readily available access to pornography because it's the 80s or the 90s and the internet hasn't been invented yet. So I'm going to put on like Skinamax and see some titties.
Exactly.
Easy. You
Oh,
know,
yeah.
you can see titties anywhere you want to see. There's, TNA.
you can only flip through your dad's Playboy so many times
Yeah.
trying to find naked men.
Yeah.
When you kind of figure out it's not going to do the trick.
They're not going to be in there. Yeah, he'd have to have like the one penthouse, like in the pile, and you're like, oh boy, and then that just kind of scared you because penthouse was gnarly.
And then he's like, "Why is the guy cut out?
Yeah.
Where are all of the guys in this? This is fucking weird."
Yeah, but then this movie was just so different because it did have male nudity that you didn't see.
And owning it.
Yes.
He owned it.
Yeah.
Like there was a moment where he's so like, ugh, like she goes, "Why are you doing this? You're so mean or something."
Yeah.
And he's like, "I know I'm the shit." And the way that he presented his confidence and his, I don't know, it was very like primal.
Yeah,
and,
for sure.
Yeah. The aggression.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And and I mean they are so young, and just for like young boys coming of age, and it's just a specific time, being like I said, it was the 80s and there was no internet and cable was brand new. So
I mean, but listen, I've seen a lot of porn.
Yeah.
Like a lot. We all have.
Sure.
But like this movie, it is
better,
weird with what it did to me.
For sure.
And with the girl too. Like this man is so sexy.
Yeah.
Like I could not stop thinking about it. I still can't stop thinking about it. But like tonight I will Google like blonde, tan.
Oh yeah.
Blank porn breeding, whatever. Like literally, like this to me is definitely
there are if you go online and do a Google image search and you look for naked pictures of Chris Atkins, he did a lot of
like beefcake photography. Playgirl stuff.
Yeah, I'm sure he was in Playgirl.
Yeah.
So yeah, he did a lot of beefcake photography.
Wow! In his like prime,
like right after this.
Yeah. Oh, good for see. That's sexy to me.
Leaning into
especially
it.
when a straight dude's like,
it.
"Fuck yeah!" Some people are like, "That's queer baiting," and I'm like, you know what? No, he doesn't have bad intentions here.
No,
Let him fucking just show his goods.
Yeah.
Like no one is hurt by that.
And I think being in Hollywood at that time, I mean, it probably just was something that you did. Like, let's take these pictures. There's probably naked pictures of Dean Cain out there.
Of
just
course,
like,
Lisa Rinna.
Yeah, you just did photo shoots, and is Christopher Atkins the one where is there a snake?
Yes.
Ooh.
There's one with him
Let
and
me
a
see
snake.
if I can bring it up.
Wait, do you have? Oh my god! If you can show me a photo right now,
photographic proof.
Oh, I love this. He's very. Now it's so interesting because they could have chosen a lot of different people to play. You know what I mean? The types that they went with.
Yes.
It's interesting because with blondes, I know there's always been a thing with blonde women. With blonde men, has that always been a thing, or did it really start with this?
I don't know. Yeah, I feel
There
like
it is.
blonde men aren't always the like.
Oh yes, daddy.
We'll post a picture of it on Instagram.
Oh yes.
He's
The way he's looking at that
he's
camera,
naked, posing with the boa constrictor
the
over
way
his
his
neck.
butt is art.
Yeah, he knows.
He's open, and I love that.
He's been to a bathhouse in his day.
I feel yeah. He definitely
So Willie Ames from Charles in Charge read for this, and he objected to the nudity. Do you remember Buddy from Charles in Charge?
Oh yes,
yeah. He read for it. But the crazy thing is that Buddy from Charles in Charge, Willie Ames, did a ripoff with Phoebe Cates called Paradise 2 years later.
We watched that trailer and it was weird.
Was it because there was more clothing?
Yes, there was definitely more clothing.
So
in that.
he just didn't want to.
There was only a couple of like butt shots of Phoebe Cates, and I don't think he had any nudity in it at all.
God. Christopher Atkins could fucking get it.
Do a Google search of Christopher Atkins on.
Do yourself a favor.
On Image.
God,
Yeah.
I really am like, wow, because like I've always been into blonde guys, but like I'm like, this is where it comes from.
Yeah, it has
Jesus,
to be. It has to be.
Fuck.
I'm telling you, that shaggy little mop of hair.
Oh,
I don't know.
And what's funny is that like he can pull it off because like the rest is so good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
that haircut, not great.
No, not great.
It's kind of like
all the
Clute
time.
hair. You know, like not choice.
No, I get. Yeah,
but
I get
this,
that.
I'm not typically attracted to like Jerry curls.
I mean, it's not
necessarily,
quite like
Activator.
that.
but I mean, it just doesn't read like. But it works for him. You know what I mean?
Yes.
But I'm
Yeah.
saying, put this hair on someone else. I don't think they could. I couldn't
Sure.
pull that off.
Well, the thing is, I feel like it looks like a perm.
Oh, it
doesn't look
definitely
like
does.
it's not curls.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
like weird waves.
But he
His-
pulls it off because he's so freaking
His
flawless.
delicate
Yeah.
features balance it out.
And what do you? That's what I'm saying with the casting. I think it's interesting that he's so feminine in a
Yes,
way.
yeah,
which
he
is
is.
interesting. I kind of love that.
Yeah.
he's like this little twink.
Yeah, and it is interesting that you're right that they went with a brunette for the girl,
Right?
And they made him the blonde.
And I find that interesting.
Yeah, it's very. I mean, at the time, the early '80s, late '70s, that like Malibu, like surfer look. But yeah, I mean, I think Brooke Shields was just the it girl of the time.
I'm
so
guessing she was the first attached, right?
I think so. Yeah,
And then him,
They
that
brought
would
him
make the
in.
most sense. So
Yeah.
yeah, they were probably like, and it does work with like the balance of it.
Yeah, true.
It's just an interesting thing because I remember then after that noticing blondes in other films.
Sure.
and them always being like the stud.
Yeah.
You know, or
oh,
the,
yeah.
you know,
Yeah, very
that kind
80s.
of sexualization
Yeah.
of it.
I think also, too, if they both had the same hair color, then they might have read a little bit more like siblings.
Which they already
Yes.
read as.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
literally thought they were siblings for most of the film.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is why they don't want to fuck. And so I thought the whole time it was like, I don't want to have these thoughts of fucking my brother.
My brother, yeah, exactly.
And then I was like, oh, okay.
yeah.
I see now. This is not the film I thought it was.
Yeah. So we didn't talk about the fact that like a new species of iguana was discovered because of this movie.
Yeah, did you know that? So there's a shot of an iguana that's just put in for like B-roll.
Yeah,
of
I
just,
remember
like,
that.
cutting to
Because
like
there's so much wildlife
like
in this movie.
I almost thought it
wildlife
was stock
creatures.
footage.
I did too. I was like, did
Yeah.
they shoot all this?
So I guess that someone watching the movie who was like a zoologist looked
He
at
was
that
like, what the hell
looked
is
at,
that?
at that iguana was just like, I don't know what that is. And they discovered a new species of iguana.
That is
Yeah.
really crazy.
I wish that
Wow.
it's called like. I wish that like Brooke Shields was in the Latin name of like the iguana, but it's not.
Right? They're just called the Brooke Shields iguana.
Reptilicus Brooke Shields.
That's a cute little nickname for them, though. You
Yeah.
can call them Brookies.
I know, and it's a very beautiful lizard. I had never seen one either, but I mean, I'm not a herpetologist.
That's funny.
But yeah, so just
Wow,
like
I did not know that.
this movie was like these were legit exotic locations. It wasn't
Yeah.
just like Hawaii,
They
and
were-
which is also
And they were
exotic,
pretty
but-
much out in the middle of nowhere, I
Yeah.
think. That's
Good.
probably why the cast had to live in like a hut.
Yeah.
Because they couldn't get them to a hotel every night.
Yeah,
Well, and that's why, like, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
That's why it's so beautiful, too, though.
yeah, exactly.
You can't replicate that
No.
natural beauty.
Yes, but I mean, there's this movie is a feast for the eyes,
Yeah.
to say the least.
And like what I was
There's-
saying earlier is that there's kind of bits that are a little hashtag too much in this movie, but I will say for the most part, very, very watchable.
Oh, totally. And
Like,
very
it-
quick.
It goes
Yeah.
down
Oh, it does.
real
It's-
easy.
It's a fast watch.
Traditional
Yeah.
90-minute movie.
Yeah.
It's literally an hour and a half,
Yeah,
I think.
yeah.
But, you know, skip that first 30 minutes if you want to get to the good stuff.
And it is some good.
This
stuff.
is like the type of movie that there would just be clips playing when you go to like some club night in West Hollywood.
Literally Foo
like,
Bar.
at
Why
Foo
is
Bar,
this not?
Oh, yeah.
that it would
on the
just be
TV?
on
Oh, yeah.
on the television in rotation.
This is right after the Aggie song from Festival Whorehouse.
Yes,
like
yeah,
that,
totally.
definitely like on that loop.
Yeah,
like it's
yeah, yeah.
that, and then it's this. Because yeah, it's there's just something about, especially that time period, the 80s, the flesh, the seeing so much flesh.
Yeah, for
that's
sure.
what it is.
Yeah. I mean, and let's just repeat, everybody out there listening, this man was 18 years old when this movie was
Yes.
shot. So
And
we are
yes.
saying all this about a legal
And not
adult
sexualized.
person.
and all of the nudity scenes of Brooke were with a body double.
Yes.
too.
Yes,
It was her stunt woman that they were just like, well, you just use her.
I love
She
that.
matches. She's the right height and
Good.
coloring.
So it was legal.
Yeah.
Good, thank God. That'd be awkward.
For any questions out there?
I mean, maybe Brooke Shields' relationship with this movie is that it was just a job, too.
I feel like maybe
It's
she was
just
so
sort of-
young.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That
it was
it's
just
like-
a weird gig that I did when I was like 15 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah, on an island, just like sweating, just for so long. I want to know how long. Do you know how long the shoot was? Perchance.
No, I didn't see that.
I'm
in
curious because
my-
I'm like, if it was, I want to know how long. Just because it seemed, I couldn't imagine doing that on a hot island.
right for like
for-
weeks at a time.
Oh yeah,
I
for
mean-
like over a month.
yeah.
I mean, obviously, if you're getting
It
paid,
probably
great, but
wasn't a very expensive movie because it's not like
No,
they have shooting locations and sets that they have to do.
and they're not
Right.
filming at night, so they don't have to do overtime, right? Because they did a few times, but it was mostly daytime shoots, right? Yeah, for the most part.
Yeah, there wasn't a lot of nighttime stuff going on.
No, probably because
Well,
cheaper.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. This movie made me a homosexual.
Definitely.
For sure.
And I will be finding a poster of Chris Atkins and Brooke Shields and just putting it on our wall somewhere.
For real though, like the icons.
I mean, we can probably find like one of the Chris Atkins beefcake pictures, like
Those will do.
autographed, like on eBay or something.
I'm not going to
Yeah.
lie to you. As soon as I go home tonight, that's exactly what I'm googling. Because I had heard that he had done Playgirl,
Right.
but Beefcake is the other
Yes,
one. Are there
indeed.
any other ones?
That's it so far.
Those are the top
I
Yeah.
think they're
Those-
just.
I'll
kind
start
of-
with that
I think they're
one.
just beefcake modeling shots that he
Okay.
did.
Yeah.
And do you know, did he have a wife? Is it confirmed that he's actually straight?
I think
Is he
so.
available? Does he want a sugar baby?
I mean, we can always test
he was
the
married from
boundaries.
85 to 07.
Okay, with a
That's
woman.
decent
He
amount
has
of
2
time.
kids.
Okay, work.
Well,
I want to know what his kids look like.
Right? Hey.
Who knows?
I mean, he's not all that old. He was only born in 61.
Sugar daddy.
That's the crazy thing about
Yeah.
this movie is that Brooke Shields is like 54 years old.
And you know what? She still looks the goddamn.
She looks great.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It's nuts.
She has been sipping on
Yeah.
magical.
She looks
Gatorade.
like Suddenly Susan,
and
which was like 25 years ago.
she's kind of got that Kate Winslet thing going on too, where she just ages like a fine
Yeah,
wine.
for
Like
sure.
Kate
Yes.
Winslet is so gorgeous.
Yeah.
And I remember watching Titanic and being like, this girl is pretty, but the level of her face right now,
It's so much better now. Yeah.
I don't know. It's like, it's a nice wine. I love
And
that.
I think that Brooke Shields is one of those women that has chosen to age gracefully because I don't think that she's had a lot of work done.
No, you can't
like
tell.
that's just her.
Yeah, if she does, good. Whoever you are, great
Yeah.
job.
Well-
But I don't think that it's there.
Maybe we found another one to add to the list of people who took the potion.
Definitely.
She took the Death Becomes Her potion.
Also made me gay.
Yeah,
Love
for
that
sure.
movie. Well, Meryl made me gay, but doesn't she make everyone gay?
Most of the time. This was a lot of fun.
This was a lot of fun. Thanks so much for having me,
It was
you
a
guys.
good choice.
Thank you for
Yes,
coming on
no,
the show.
definitely. I oh god, now I'm gonna be in a Blue Lagoon phase. For
I know.
But yeah, this
2020.
movie's
You're
pretty
welcome.
much what this podcast's all about.
Yeah, for sure. This
Love
was
that.
The spark of the idea of what we're doing here. Do you have any social media things that you'd like to plug?
You want to plug?
Any
Oh,
events
my
coming
God.
up? Parties you're going to?
Let's
appearances?
see. Well, okay. No, oh my gosh, my life
You
is
don't
so
have to plug
boring.
anything.
I'm going to be going home to my cats. No, well, my Insta is the Braden Davis, and then my Twitter is the Braden. But yeah, you can find me on there
Awesome.
and hang out and whatnot. But yeah,
Awesome.
I'm just
Cute.
just living the LA life.
Awesome.
Thanks for having me, you guys.
Thank you so much for coming
This
to
is so much
Pasadena
fun.
to record.
Yeah.
Of course, it really wasn't that bad. I just
No.
took 6 freeways.
That's all. But you were only on for like a mile at a time.
Exactly. And hey, we needed to discuss this film. This
Yes,
is important.
It needed to be done. Listeners, thank you so much for listening to our show. We'd love it if you would subscribe to our podcast and also rate it.
Rate and review us.
Yes. When you're on iTunes, you should give us 5 stars.
Give us 5 stars. Do it.
Yes,
Do it for
please
Christopher
do.
Atkins.
Yes, do it for Christopher Atkins and Brooke Shields.
Yes, indeed.
But mainly Christopher Atkins.
You can find us on social media. You can find Scott at Scott Youngballer. You can find me at Peter Lasagna, and you can find the show at Movies That Made Us Gay. We're on Instagram and Facebook at Movies That Made Us Gay. We're on Twitter at MTMUG Pod. That's MTMUG, Movies That Made Us Gay Pod. And you can drop us an email if you want, moviesthatmadeusgay@gmail.com. Thank you so much for listening, everybody. We'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.